What's up, guys? This is Ray from This Is the Ray, and welcome to episode 2 of the This Is the Ray podcast. Man, so much has happened since our first podcast episode. What a great time that we had back then with Damn Daniel. If you have not checked out episode 1 of the podcast, make sure you go check it out. It's available right now on Apple Podcasts and on YouTube and on Spotify, and it's really super cool on Spotify because the video's stitched into the Spotify player too. Little nerd things like that really always make me smile, but it was an incredible episode. We had some of the guys that were rocking out in the top 100. It might have even at that time been top 50 of the Respawn recruits. And since that has aired, the Respawn Recruits Challenge has come to an end. I'm happy to report that I found myself rocked out in the top 5, the top 10, however you want to say it, and have been partnered by Respawn Products. So this podcast is now in partnership with Respawn Products, as well as a company I'm pretty excited to be working with. They're a local Florida company, so they're down here rocking it out with me. That's Glitch Energy. We're really stoked for both of those guys to be partnering with us. We've got some cool things that are happening with Glitch Energy too. So I'll let you guys know. We are giving away copies of Call of Duty on behalf of Glitch Energy, and This Is the Ray Gaming. You can check out all the info on all of our social media, but make sure that you're following all of our social, that you're following Glitch Energy at Glitch Energy and it's Glitch with a Y. They're the Fox brand, just so you guys know, because there's 2 Glitch Energies and it gets kind of confusing. Follow them on x.com. Follow us on all of our socials. Each of those follows will be like one entry for the giveaway for you. And then if you're following us on our Twitch and on our Kick, that's another entry for each of those. And I'm offering bonus entries for everyone that is subscribing to us on either of those channels. Is up to 5 entries a piece. So we're trying to spread the news about Glitch, trying to spread the news about This Is the Ray, and all the time we're going to be giving away a copy of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 and some awesome Glitch Energy gift cards for you guys. Check that stuff out too. So thanks to Glitch for that. Keep it here, man. We got all kinds of giveaways that are happening through the month of November as we enter into Christmas. There's tons and tons of stuff that are happening on This Is the Ray Gaming and all of our social media platforms. But I just said that we have won or qualified, or I don't even know how you would say it, finished in the top 5 of the Respawn Recruits competition and are now officially partnered with Respawn. And for this week's episode of the podcast, I'm so excited. I've told you guys in the first episode that I'm really, really passionate about telling relevant stories and talking about topics that are meaningful to the community and talking about things beyond just like, hey, have you guys heard that this new game is coming out? Which, by the way, there's some cool new games that are coming out. It sounds like we're 1 month away from the day before. I'm really excited about that. So keep it on my social media. We've been talking about the day before. We're trying to put together a little squad for that. But my guest tonight is super well versed in tonight's topic, and she also is a top 5 Respawn recruit, a really good friend that I've made throughout this entire competition. Her production quality on all her streams is second, maybe only to me, and I'm totally joking. Help me welcome my good friend Kolpios. What's up, my friend? How are you doing on this? It's Thursday night now, I think, right?
Yes.
It's Thursday.
Yeah.
Halloween happened 2 nights ago. We tried to schedule this thing during Halloween because I am a complete and total dweeb and forgot that it was Halloween and messed the whole thing up. Congratulations on a Respawn partner, my friend.
Thank you. Congrats to you. What are you talking about?
Thank you. I'm going to tell you. So I really did feel like, and I'm not blowing smoke. That's not what I do. I don't blow smoke. I think I even told you this leading up that I felt like you were a lock. I said, I think that you're locked in. Your quality's fantastic. I love your personality, what you do on the stream. I love that you go from competitive to cozy and like all the things in between. Like it's a lot of fun. And really, you are one of the higher quality production value streamers that's been involved in this competition. And for me, as a production nerd, I love that. Like, I love seeing like crispy cameras and well done lighting and all the sorts of things. And so say what's up to everybody, give us a little bit of background for you and like kind of why this is such a passionate thing for you, and we'll roll from there.
So my name's Kolpios. You can call me Kolp, you can call me C, Olpios, Pios, whatever you want. I started content creation maybe about 3-4 years ago. And I honestly thought it was a joke. I was like, this isn't going anywhere. Like, no one wants to watch somebody without a face cam and like an Xbox microphone play Call of Duty and Outlast all this time. And I was very, very wrong. I'm sitting here doing a podcast with you, Ray.
It's crazy. Well, I'm nobody though. Like, let's be really clear about that. Like, I still don't know why people watch me at all.
Okay. Whatever. Like,
yeah.
We're cutting that.
Okay, we'll cut it. But seriously, no. But that's the thing, and I think realistically, I know I'm jumping you a little bit here, but like that's the vibe. Like there is this overwhelming feeling of almost all the creators I talk to that are like, I mean, unless people have really made it and they're like Nick Merckx with like 20,000 people on their first day on Kick, all of us are like, I suck at this so much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like, how many people are actually seeing, you know, what we're doing, or does my content matter, or am I just ripping off somebody else? And so there's a part of me that a part that drives me that legitimately feels like I don't know why people are watching. Just today, we were streaming Rocket League at 10:30 this morning on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
I was like the #1 Rocket League channel on Kick this morning. 65 people watching on Rocket League. I wasn't being pushed by Kick, like I wasn't on like the homepage or anything like that.
Yeah.
But like we were crushing it. And I'm seriously going like, hey, we're losing these games. Why are people in here? like we're not winning. I can't flip reset. I can barely fly in Rocket League. And that's kind of the thing. Like that whole like, why I'm not good enough to do this. Why should people care? So what you just said, like, dude, like that's the show tonight. Like that's what it is.
Yeah, and it's so funny because it took me the longest time to realize that while people watch content creators who are good at what they do, such as Call of Duty or Valorant or Rocket League, like people also like watching the cringy game players because there's a side of, I don't want to say realism, but connection and empathy for like the kids that aren't good at those games and are like, oh, hey, they're funny. I can relate. I can connect.
You can't see me, but I'm raising my hand. Like, I'm like, that's totally me. It's so funny. My tagline on Twitch for the longest time, before we rebranded, when we were still calling it Fam Squad Games, we were like, Fam Squad Games, we love video games as much as you do, and we're probably just as bad as you are at them. Like that was our tagline, you know. And now it's kind of like a, you know, mid gameplay, maximum effort. Like, you know, like that's kind of the thought. But like, I mean, like the reality of it is, and I'm having to learn this every day. Like, you don't have to be a great Call of Duty player to get people to watch you play Call of Duty.
I thought it was a big joke, content creation, like, because I was like, I'll never be the people I watched when I was younger. I'll never be Tobuscus or Rooster Teeth or I'm trying to think of the other people, you know. Shamelessly, I used to watch Shane Dawson a lot, or Fred. I don't know if anybody remembers Fred. But I was like, I'll never be like them. And then it just started causing traction, and these people were coming into my chat. They were coming in to my Discord, and they're like, hey, like, this is me. I've watched your streams. You're freaking amazing. And like you said earlier, like, I grew imposter syndrome. I was like, why? Why are you here? And why am I continuing to make content for you?
Yeah, it's weird.
It's so weird. But through content creation, like, so many doors have opened up for me. I've been able to work alongside a man named Tate Steinsek and do a lot of social media for him.
That's awesome.
He's an SFX makeup artist for a lot of movie productions and TV series. He's currently across the seas doing a big project right now.
You just were with him, like, doing Halloween makeup, right? Like, he slit your throat. I saw a video.
Yeah.
You got to send me that footage.
Great.
I want to see that, like, on the podcast. Like, he was, like, slitting your throat and teaching you how to spit blood up, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I suck at spitting blood, so we've learned that. I was, like, gurgling it, and I was like, how do people make it look real? Like,
it's a whole thing.
It is.
It's a whole thing, like, just being able to execute movie makeup.
And I don't know, like, he was I can't talk, slitting my throat, and I was like, oh yeah, I know how to act when someone slits my throat. Totally. I know how to do that. And I'm like, I look like a dying chicken. I'm like, this is not how someone looks. Anyways.
You talked a minute ago about imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Okay. The imposter syndrome for me was so much that there were nights that, like, I didn't want to turn the camera on at all. Mm-hmm. Like, I was like, I have to stream because of this competition. Mm-hmm. And, like, I had used that as, like, the kick in the butt. And it really was, like, I'm so thankful to Respawn because, like, it really has helped me, like, find myself in this. But dude, like I felt so fake at so much of it. And like that stuff starts to play with you. And then when you see the haters that come along, you're like, maybe they're right. Like maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And so for me, this whole competition, like it was this like weird up and down. And people don't talk about that. Like, they don't talk about like you get so many times, like you'll get people that are like, oh man, I'm the best and I deserve to be here. And like, I'm so stoked to be here. And I'm glad that you're watching. And like, you just see all this like real strong, like positive energy. But like the reality of it is, and maybe it's just me, there's been times over the last 3 months where I'm like, dude, like you guys need to cut me so that I can get away from this.
And it's a weird feeling too, because I remember like we were making our videos for the top 5 competition, and I sat here before we went on our travels, because I know you were traveling during the competition.
For work. Yeah.
And I had to go because of my partner's family was in town. Well, we were going to their town, and I sat here and I was like, this isn't worth it. Like, I don't deserve this. Like, why am I even doing this? I had written out a script. I had like hyperlinked all the clips I was going to put in there. And I sat here until like 4:00 in the morning, the day before we were leaving. And I was like, I'm not doing it. Like, they need to cut me. Like, I can't do this.
And then did you like end up like editing for like 48 hours straight without sleep or some crazy mess like that because you were driving back?
Yes, like on our way back, I had this whole setup. I was like, yeah, I'll plug in my laptop to the car and it'll be fine. We'll use the hotspot. Well, it turns out the adapter for the car and the laptop charger weren't compatible. Oh, man. So I couldn't edit in the car until we got home. And then I stayed up and I did an all-nighter, and literally maybe like a couple hours before 12:00 Central Time, I got the video done. And Phoenix, who was the partner I was partnered with, she was like, do it, just turn it in. It looks amazing. And I was like, okay, because she had me revise it twice. And I was like, okay, here we go. Can we just submit it? For what it's worth,
I thought your video was great.
Thank you.
Like, I really did. And again, like I wouldn't say that if I didn't believe it. One of the biggest things that you just talked about was the fact that like you're up till 4 a.m. before you're driving like across country, and then you're driving back across country, and you're trying to figure out how to edit on Wi-Fi in a car, and like you got all these things you're trying to figure out, and you come back and you don't sleep for like 2 days. One of the biggest things for us as creators that I think is this pitfall in the mental health arena is we push ourselves way too hard, way too often. Like whether it's a competition, or whether it's the fact that we're just trying to prove ourselves, or really whether it's the fact that we don't want to let our communities down. Like, I can't tell you how many times, like I work a full-time job. I'm a small business owner. I run my own production company. So I'm working 70 or 80 hours a week on that. And then I'm streaming 16 to 18 hours a week. And then I'm creating, I mean, there are nights that I go get in bed and I'm not really even thinking anything of it. And my wife is like, I wake her up when I'm getting in bed and she's like, it's 4:00 in the morning.
Oh.
Like, what are you doing? And it's like, I'm just trying to be great. You know, like I'm trying to do this thing. I feel like I don't want to let people down. And then in those mornings that you wake up 2 hours later because you got to take your kids to school at 6:30 in the morning, and you're doing all the things, you got 2 hours of sleep and you've worked for 3 days straight and you've done all the things, and you put up this video that you've put like all this mental like value in, and like 2 people like it, and you're like, you're dead. Like the whole world falls apart. It's like, I got 2 likes for all of that. And talk to me about balance. Talk to me about some of the things that you've seen.
I feel like there is a lot of false support.
Okay.
I think it's a lot of...
We're not talking about false C.
No, we're not talking about false C. We're not talking about false C. But I think there's a lot of, just reach out to me if you ever need anything. But I think people forget that when you're in the middle of a mental health crisis, or even just having a bad day, you're already not wanting to burden anybody. You're already burdening the space that you're taking up, whether that be like physical or like on like with your work or on the internet, etc. Like, you don't want to text somebody, you don't want to call somebody, you don't want to email someone. Who emails? You don't want to DM somebody.
That's like faxing. I mean, what is this, the 1900s?
Right. But you don't want to do that because it's It's more mental load for you to sit there and try to explain to somebody else what's going on through your brain when sometimes you don't even understand what's going on in your brain. And two, it's like it's almost embarrassing. And I hate to use the word embarrassing, but I guess demeaning, or it just doesn't feel right. And I think it's because we grew up in a society where men are supposed to be men and women are supposed to be women, and there's no room for emotions to be emotions.
Yeah.
And we forget that emotions are a spectrum and it's not black or white. And I don't know about you, but I grew up in a very black and white world.
Yeah,
I was
me too.
either mad. Yeah, I was either mad or I was happy. And there was no room for grief. There was no room for sadness. There was no room for hurt. Confusion. Confusion isn't necessarily a bad emotion, but it could explain a lot. And so when you see someone who posts on social media, like, I'm having a really bad day, I want to take a step back. And you have all these people who are like, oh, like, keep your head up, text me if you need anything, like, you've got this. And it's just, I don't know, it just doesn't feel genuine.
But
and
I don't want to cut you off, but you know why it doesn't feel genuine?
Why?
Because those are the exact same people that the minute they hit the send button on that tweet, they're either texting or in their Discord or they're on a conversation privately with somebody else, and they're like, oh my God, can you believe that they're asking for attention? Oh my God, did you see this person's tweet? Like,
it's an ego boost.
It's like, yeah, I just, I reached out to him because I want him to know that I'm there for him. But then they're also at the same time, like, behind their back, they're tearing them to shreds. Like, can you believe that they would want that kind of attention? And I think that when people live like that, that's what makes it seem inauthentic, because you can really only cover up the stink of inauthentic for so long, in my opinion. That's just...
No, absolutely. And I feel like friendships and relationships, and I'm not just talking about romantic ones, but like platonic relationships, I think there is an expectation of them to be so transactional that we don't even allow for genuine connection to live. We don't allow it to thrive. So when we're trying to make friends, like, I was just on a podcast with Feeds XD, and he was like, tell me about like how you would have people reach out and connect as a new streamer. I'm like, to be quite honest, I don't even know how I got here and how I've made the friends I've made, because I'm always so scared that if I reach out to someone genuinely to collaborate or to be friends or to compliment somebody, they're going to think that I want something from them. And it's not anyone's fault. It's the world we grew up in. It's the world we live in today. And it's just, it goes back to transactional relationships and friendships. It's, if I tell you I need support, you're going to expect something from me in the future
in return
that I may or may not be able to provide you. So
but what do you think that does to the individual? I mean, I know what it does to like the society. I know what it does to the community, because you get that really like that toxic mixture, and then you get all these like passive aggressive social media posts like, people aren't real, the real, unfollow, if you're reading this and that means that I haven't cut you, bullcrap. You know what I mean? Like, I hate that stuff so freaking much. But like, the reality of it is, like I said, we've just come through a couple of weird months. Okay, for those of us that were in the Respawn recruits, and there's 450 or 500, I can never get the number right, and I'm not trying to like over exaggerate it. There's several hundred people that were involved in Respawn recruits. And what happens, the nature of a competition is people lose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, it doesn't mean that it's because you're not like a good creator. It just for whatever the reason, someone was better or someone fit. I don't even know. Like, I don't want to get into the politics of why people get cut and why, but there were people early on in the competition that did not take the cuts well. You know what I mean?
No.
And some of them were very public about their opinions of what happened. And I'm not going to name names or anything like that. But then there were also people, as the competition went on, that weight gets heavier. You know what I mean? Of what you're trying to do. And it's not just in the competition. At the same time, we've got this craziness that took place with Kick. You've got people that are like live streaming escort services, and then like and then everyone gets split on whether that should have happened or shouldn't have happened, or Kick is priding itself on not censoring things, so why are you mad that this kind of stuff happens? And then you get Aiden Ross gets on and basically says that people should be hanging from trees, which was like one of the most toxic things I've heard happen. And people in the community are just like, they're reeling, man. Like they don't know, like, should I even be on Kick? And like for so long, it's funny because like Twitch was like the evil empire. Like Twitch is terrible, and they've got bad morals, and Kick is this place that can be free. And now like all the hope that we put in Kick is Kick evil also. You know what I mean? And I'm watching people in the course of 1 week. I'm not exaggerating this. In the course of 1 week, I saw from at least 5 to 7 different creators that were either like, I've just checked myself out of a hospital because I was having suicidal thoughts, or I just attempted suicide and no one knew about it, and later today I'm going to the hospital because I was unsuccessful, and now I feel like that was the wrong decision. This is a real issue. Like, this entire mental health, fake friendships, false support, toxic anxiety, all these things that happen, they're real in our world everywhere. It's more prevalent in the United States right now than it's ever been. But for whatever the reason, in this community of creators, it seems to be so much stronger. Here's how bad it is. Okay. I one of the weeks that I saw, I think there's 2 people specifically that had some like unaliving themselves conversations. And I really felt like I just want to like put a little at the top of like one of my streams. I was like, I just want people to know, if no one's told you today, like, you have value and you're worth it. And regardless of who likes your videos and what other people are saying about you as a content creator, I want you to hear someone tell you that you are valuable and what you're doing is good enough. And there were some people that were appreciative of that message. There were some people that direct messaged me and they were like, how dare you post something like that in an attempt to get clicks? I had people that were challenging me in that way. And then I had a comment on TikTok that was like, oh, you poor social media creators, you don't even understand what the real world is. I'm so tired of hearing how bad and how fragile you guys have it. And it's like, I'm just sitting there, I'm going like,
flabbergasted.
I just don't want to see my friends want to hurt themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I'm coming from a super genuine place. And that's why, like, when I asked you to do this program with me, I felt like I had to sell you and be like, look, I'm not, like, I don't care if this comes out before the end of the competition. Like, I'm not trying to do this because I want to like get clicks. Like, this is not clickbait for me at all. And those posts for me, like, I'll be very honest, they're super genuine. And so when I get people that are sending direct messages that are like, you're heartless, I'm like, dude, like, that's not what I'm doing. And it's so jaded. It makes it worse because what we're doing is we're telling people that are trying to be encouragers, hey, shut up.
Exactly.
People don't need encouragement. And it's like, oh, I don't know about that, man.
It's such a double-edged sword because, like we were referring to earlier, it is transactional for so many people. And it's like, there was a metaphor I heard a long time ago, and I still use it to this day. Or it's not really a metaphor, but a saying that, you know, if someone handed you a bowl of M&Ms and said one of them is poisoned, would you eat the M&Ms? Or would you take a chance, or would you put the bowl of M&Ms down and say, no, thank you? And that goes for a lot of things in our society today. Like, for the people who genuinely want to show support and get you the help you need, you don't know intentions, you don't know expectations behind people. And for like people like you who do the things that you do, and then you get people who are like, shut up, like you're just doing this for clickbait. That's where the poisoned M&Ms come from. And it comes from the people who do it for clickbait, who do spoil the rest of the M&Ms for us.
Yeah. It's like, how do you even try to be just like a good dude anymore? You know, exactly. It's like you're totally damned if you do. You're totally damned if you don't. It's like, because like either you get told to shut up for trying to be supportive of people, or something happens and it's like, well, why weren't you there?
Exactly.
You know, you have this platform now. Like, why aren't you using your platform to, stop this sort of thing.
The issue with content creators or people who are on social media, regardless, it's publicized. So you have to think, like, when our parents were around, when they were our ages, mental health was shushed. You weren't allowed to talk about it. You were sent to a psych ward. No one talked about it, etc. Like, if you had a meltdown in the middle of class, you'd be like, oh, she's on her period, or oh, he's, gay. And so it was hidden, unfortunately. And now that we're in the society of content creators, the era of social media, we're seeing it more. And it's so funny because, like, my dad, not to name drop you, Dad, he'll be like, well, we never had depression when I was your age. I'm like, you probably did. And that's why we have
you just
veterans.
Didn't know it.
But I think especially when we go back to content creators and their mental health, we are trying for these brand deals. We are trying to make a name for ourselves in a sense. And when we get declined, when we don't hit that viewer count, when we don't hit partner, etc., we attach our worth to it. And I don't know the science behind it. And I think it's just a natural thing for us humans to want to prove our worth when it comes to things that we can actually see and not necessarily touch, but we can prove. We can prove our worth through numbers and partnerships and deals and all that fun stuff. I know when Baldur's Gate 3 was an early release, right before it was officially released, I was hitting like close to 200 views on Twitch every single night. I was like, yes, like this is it. This is my big break. Yeah, I'm a big time streamer. Let's go. And then the moment everyone started playing it and my views were dropping every single night, I think I averaged maybe like 25 every stream now. I was like, what am I doing wrong? Like, why would I put myself on that pedestal? Why did I think I was so special? Like, they weren't there for you. They were there for the game. And it kind of just goes back to thinking our self-worth, our boundaries, our accomplishments, they have to have a number on them. They have to have a name on them. When really, if you get out of bed and you take 2 steps and then get right back in bed, hey, you're doing great in my book. That's all I'm saying. Like, you're trying, and that's all that matters.
I wish we could get to a place where the content that we make, we're able to make it like for ourselves. I had this conversation with some people literally yesterday where it's so funny, and like, it's all love, Frosty. I'm not mad at you, Frosty. If you end up watching this, like, I'm not attacking Frosty, okay? But he had put this like a tweet out a couple weeks ago. He's like, hey, let me look at your Twitter profile. I'll like grade your Twitter profile. I'm like, yeah, man, sure. Tell me, like, how, like, what do you think? You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. Tell me about it. And one of the things that he said was, like, you should put in your profile that you're a Call of Duty content creator, because that's who you are. And I was like, no, I'm not. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, that's not who I am even a little bit. But the reality of it is, it's like, for whatever the reason, that's the game that I've been playing. You know what I mean? Like, and it just happened during this. Like, I do get streaky in games. Like, if I were to tell you as a gamer, my favorite game franchise is like the Battlefield franchise. One of my favorite games in the last 10 years, and it's one of my all-time favorite games now is PUBG. To me, still today, PUBG is the best battle royale. Like, there's no feeling like winning PUBG because there's no like goofiness. Yeah. It's fair. Like, if all I've got is a pistol and a dream, I can kill you and take your stuff as fairly as you can kill me if I hit my shots. Like, it's a very fair game. There's no, like, I can't call in a mortar strike. You know what I mean? Like, I can't, like, get some perk that makes me see through walls. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very fair. Now, it's clunky and it's ugly as sin. But, like, it's, to me, like, it's been one, like, the feeling of winning a PUBG game. Like, if your hand's like shaking when you win. You know what I mean? Like, you're sitting there and it's like, one of those things. So I love that. I would consider myself a variety streamer, but the gaming is so stale. It just happened that during this competition, like, I'm a Call of Duty guy. And so I was having a conversation today, and I said, man, like, the most fun that I've had streaming in a long time was we played Rocket League a couple weeks ago for the first time on stream. And I was like, I had a blast. I had so much fun. And the people I was talking to, they're like, Ray, you got to understand, man, like, people aren't like, there are some people that will come to your stream because of the game you're playing. But when
Yes.
you're trying to build a community the way that you're trying to build a community, they're coming to the stream for you. You can play whatever you want. And like, don't limit yourself to getting to the point. Because I had said, like, I had a blast playing Rocket League, but like, does my audience that I've built now, like, do they expect me to play Call of Duty?
Yeah.
And it's so funny that as content creators, we are looking at algorithms and numbers and likes and views and letting that determine what we play. How many people have you seen on your timeline that say, like, I freaking hate Call of Duty, but I have to, that's what I do. I can't stand it. It's awful. I have no
I'm
fun.
the same way with Valorant. Yeah. I'm like, I freaking hate Valorant, but I have to play it. I'm addicted. Like, yeah, I hate it. And
I also, just so you know, I also hate Valorant.
That's okay. Yay. I think everyone who plays Valorant hates Valorant.
But you know what's so funny? Like 8 months ago, it was like one of my favorite games. I loved it.
Exactly.
I loved it.
It's addicting. It's
like,
addicting.
It's got the Rocket League thing in it, and it's a get good game. Like, you're
Yes.
either good at it or you're not good at it. Like, there's, you know, and so like it gets hyper competitive and all those sorts of things. But the point that I'm making is, like, we will let the media that we consume and the games that we play and the content that we put out be completely steered by people that we will never see their face.
Nope.
And like, and I'm curious for you. So like I said, I had like 65 or so people, and it happened again today in Rocket League. They're in my, for whatever reason, just so you guys know, 10:30 in the morning, if you play Rocket League on Kick, people are going to watch. I don't know what is happening there. Like, but twice this week it's happened. Again, the numbers are very similar, but like literally no one talks. Like, my fear is that as we get farther from this competition ending, is my relevance going to die out? Because I'm not competing any longer. And if you look in my chat, my most active chatters, I'm so thankful for them. But it's like people like Care Bear and Rabbit and False C and Terminated and like people that I've met that were all a part of the competition. And I love that. Like, you jump in, Elder jumps in, and we're all supporting each other. And I think that we should be there. But there is a fear in me. It's a very real fear that's like, the farther we get away from this thing, man, like, no one cares about you again. You know what I mean? Like, and so then you get that anxiety and you get that, like, what am I doing? And I've seen over the last several weeks, people take that too far.
I think we have to be okay with being a kid again if we want to get back to that place of just making and playing games. And I don't think anybody wants to be, I think everyone's scared of being a kid again because it means trusting and being vulnerable. And again, like, some of us have been burned too many times that we don't want to break down that shell. We don't want to have fun, because if we have fun, then that means our numbers aren't going to be consistent. If we have fun, that means a brand is going to potentially deny us a partnership or a deal. Like, it, and I say this to a lot of people, I love content creation because it has brought back my inner child who was scared of being loud and obnoxious and colorful and exuberant. And that's why I love it so much. And that's why I'm so grateful for it. But like you said, like, I'm terrified, and I've thought about it too. Like, there is a large possibility that come December or come January of next year, I'm not going to be relevant, or I will be relevant for other things, but not the light that I'm grateful for, if that makes sense.
Yeah, look, I'm super, I couldn't be more appreciative of the opportunity that's happened because of this competition. Like, Respawn Recruits, 100%. It has helped me meet so many people. Like, I consider you a friend of mine. I consider a lot of the people that we met through this competition a friend of mine. I'm not sitting here, guys, and insinuating that, like, we're at barbecues together or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, there are people that we've met that have been relationships that we build, and like, you'll continue to get support from me into like forever. And I think that I'll continue to get support from you on some level for forever. But like, again, like, we get so hung up on the people that don't chat. Like I said, 65 people that were in my stream this morning, and I know those aren't great numbers, but like 65 people are in my stream, and I didn't meet any of them. And I'm now like spending the rest of my day while I'm editing going like, I need to play more Rocket League so that these people that don't talk to me come back to my stream. And it's like, what are we even doing? One of the people I'm so proud of right now, he was my first guest on the podcast. It's Damn Daniel Games. He's blowing up on TikTok, and one of the things that I love about him, he was doing Call of Duty content, and he was doing like gun builds, and he was growing, and he grew to like 3,000 or 4,000 people, maybe 5,000 people on his page. And he felt like it was getting really, really, really stale. And so he started a brand new page, and in the middle of nobody liking Cyberpunk, and he just really loves Cyberpunk, he started making Cyberpunk content. I mean, the game's been out for like 3 years now. Yeah. It has been drugged through the mud. It's one of the first games in the history of modern gaming that like PlayStation has said, we will give you a refund on this game if you want it, because it's so broken. Yep. It's so bad. Like that does not happen. That's never happened ever. And Daniel's like, you know, guys, I'm just going to start making Cyberpunk content. In 2 months, his Cyberpunk content driven page is at like 25,000 followers on TikTok. That's getting insane. Like 400 followers a day or something ridiculous. I've been working on this my account. I relaunched it at the beginning of the competition, so I'm like 3 months into my account. I have begged, borrowed, stolen 700. And he's getting like 700 a day. You know what I mean? Like,
that's
and it's
awesome.
And he did it by making content for a game that he liked and no one did. He jumped in Call of Duty with me last night. We were talking about it a little bit while we were gaming, and he said on my stream, you know, it's so funny. I got my TikTok key and I streamed Cyberpunk thinking that no one was going to be there. And on the first night I streamed it, I had 1,000 viewers on TikTok. And he was like, all right, let me try that again. It was 5,000 the second night. It was 10,000.
Dude, that's amazing.
He capped out on a Cyberpunk stream at like 65,000 viewers.
What?
Mm-hmm. On a live stream. He's freaking crushing it. And it's because he stayed true and talked about something. Now he's got like his catchphrases and like he talks well and he's got great production. Like there's so many reasons that Daniel's blowing up. But the point that I'm making is, if we could stop being so scared of like what, like this invisible boogeyman, and we think that we got to do what people like want us to do. It like, even I'm saying this on a podcast tonight, but today I was like, I really wanted to stream all the Call of Duty, like the campaign that came out today, but I didn't play the other campaigns. And if I didn't play the other campaigns, then I can't be real on my stream, so I'm just not going to do it. And it's like, dude, what are you talking about? Like,
I can play it.
Just play the freaking game. Like,
just do it.
Just play the game. And so, like, I think that if we could get back to a place where, like, we are letting ourselves love the things that interest us. You know what I mean? Like, you know, people jokingly call you a nerd and you want to act like it's like this is a big problem or we want to melt down. But, like, dude, be a nerd. Be a nerd for your games. Be a nerd for your content. Be a nerd for your movies. Like, love what you do. And I think that we'll go a lot farther, because the fact of the matter is, if you're putting out content that you don't love, you are opening the door for the mental health issues. You're opening the door for disappointment. And there is this trend that you go from like disappointment to discouragement to like depressed. Like it's just, it starts with being disappointed. And we get disappointed because, you know, we are putting so much value in what we think other people think about us. And we're forgetting the fact that as creators, we can't be artists if we don't love what we make.
Exactly.
You know,
and you're going to, and like, you're allowed to hate the stuff you put out, but also like be better. Like if there's something that doesn't do well, don't sit there and be like, oh, well, guess that's it. I guess I gotta toss the towel. Like, figure out why it didn't do good. Was it something you could control? Was it something you couldn't control? I think there is a big difference between just throwing in the towel and saying this is it and being proactive. Like, I feel like you can sit and grovel and be upset and be sad, but do something about it. Use that passion that is causing you to be upset and angry and sad and put it towards something, so it's not just stagnant. And like, I know, I don't know if you've been through this, Ray, but like I was on a 5-month hiatus before I did this year's Respawn Recruits Challenge, and it's because I just was not doing anything with my disappointment in myself. I was just sitting around, not streaming, not putting out content, which granted, it was fine. I needed to do that, but I also wasn't finding what made me me. I was just being stagnant and I wasn't finding my passion again. And then my boyfriend was just like, hey, like, what are you doing? Like, get back in the gym, start taking care of yourself, get your core needs met. Like, let's get her going. And sure enough, once I started taking care of myself and finding that little kid again, I was like, let's stream. And sure enough, once I started streaming, I was happy. I was inspired. I was getting the ball rolling. And granted, that doesn't mean I didn't have my days where I was like, screw this.
Yeah, for sure.
But it, like, my therapist always said, therapy talk, you can't take care of other people and you can't make other people happy when you're not happy, when you're not taking care of your core needs. And that could be as simple as taking a shower, making sure you eat a healthy meal, getting enough sleep, painting
Yeah, we're
your
terrible
nails.
at that. Just like we suck at getting enough sleep.
Exactly.
Like, big
so
time.
it's like we're setting ourselves up for failure from the get-go. And then we're blaming it on these numbers and all that fun stuff. And granted, they do play, but I also think if we made sure we were taking care of ourselves and, like you said, having fun, finding that passion, finding that drive, that inspiration, I think it would feel a lot more like a colorful world than it was a black and white world.
There's a difference in I need to get myself right and rest, so I'm not going to stream, and I'm afraid of what people are going to say about what I'm streaming.
Yep.
And so like that same power, that same tool that can give us all of these opportunities and connections and networking and strength and all that can be the same tool that we become so horrified of. Like it, and we start to judge ourselves by what are people going to say? What are the tweets going to be about? What's going to be real? What's going to be fake? What's the real sport? What's the fake sport? What's, who wants to use me? Like that's the one. And then it bridges into this for me as a creator. Okay. Again, I've been a creative professional or a career creative. We'll say it that way. I've been a career creative for the majority, if not all of my professional career. Okay. I've done that in the NFL. I've done it in major multinational broadcasting. I've done it in nonprofit and ministry. I've done it for personal clients. I've done it for NFL players individually. I've done it for NBA players individually. I've done it everywhere you can go, right? I've done creative. For me as a creator, it's very difficult for me, and I'm going to be very honest here. It's difficult for me to build authentic relationships with people because 100%. I feel like the relationships that I build are so dependent on the value that I bring to people as a creative.
Yeah. Like transactional.
Like I'm a photographer. Like a lot of people in Respawn don't necessarily know that. Like I do photography, I do B-roll, I do all those sorts of things. You can check out like my photography page. It's one of the things that I do majority. Like I don't care. Like I take pictures of the weirdest stuff. Like you know what I mean? And I love it. Like, and I love it. And I post it and I don't like tweet it, but it exists. And I go and I look at my page, and if I like the photo, I did it for me. I like it for me. I want it, like I nitpick it, and I want it to be like, I pixel peep it, and I want to make sure that what's supposed to be sharp is sharp and what's supposed to be soft is soft. Like you get it. But then like you have people that are like, oh, hey, like, can you do my kids' graduation pictures?
Yes.
Or it's like, oh, hey, can you, and like for like actual friends of mine, like, that they're your actual friends because they're like, hey, I want to pay you to do this. And you're like, no, you don't have to pay me. You know what I mean? But then you have like the people that are like you're going to hook me up, right? Like you're going to come, like photographers are like $500 and $600 for a shoot. Like, so you're just going to do this for me, right? Because I know you. Or professionally, my job is safe because I keep putting out projects that get used, or my cut of the TV show is the one that the executive producer goes with. And so I find myself really having a difficult time not feeling like every relationship I have is transactional. And there was a time in my life where that bled into my marriage. It bled into like my relationship with my kids, because I would come home and I would feel like I was working way too much. Like it was so out of balance. Like it was ridiculous. I would go into work at 9 a.m. I would come home at 3 a.m, 5 nights a week. Like that, like I would leave the office, like 11 p.m. was an early day for me at times. And I would get phone calls at midnight at 1 a.m. and be like, why are you asleep? I need a project done. Like it was crazy. And, I remember thinking to myself, I'm so exhausted. Like I'm so bloodshot eyes, sunken in, bags, like my bags have bags. Like I am so completely spent. I can't have a creative thought. Like I'm so bankrupt creatively. Like I don't even know what I'm supposed to say or do. And I do this for 20 hours a day, it feels like. And then I come home and my kids are like, I need field trip money, or I need orange juice, or or I just need a hug. And like even that, like I remember thinking that like my kids needing a hug, it was like, can someone just not need something from me?
Exactly.
Can some relationship in my life not be transactional? And then even like my wife, and it's like, I love my wife, she's amazing, like but like she I'm gone 15 hours a day, 18 hours a day, and when she gets a chance to see me for the 30 seconds in the morning, it's like, hey, is like the car insurance paid? I just remember feeling so desperately like, is there a person in this world that cares about me for beyond what I can do for them?
Yep.
And I will never, ever, 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 ever forget. I had to drive across town. I was living in Columbus, Ohio. I had to drive across town to get something for work. I think I had to pick up like maybe like a photo background, like white paper for a background for a photo shoot or something we were doing. And I'm sitting at this really, really weird Y-shaped intersection. And I'm at the red light, and cars are driving past me. And because of the way the intersection's set up, every car looks like they're going to drive into you, but then they just don't.
Oh.
Like they just don't. I mean, it's totally safe. It's not unsafe. It's just like, it's like optical illusion, kind of like you feel like the car's going to drive into you.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting at the red light after it was like Tuesday, and I'd already put in like 90 hours for the week. You know what I mean? Like it was just like one of those weeks. Like it had been nonstop. And like, I'm kind of angry at my kids because they need me to be dad, and my wife needs me to be a husband. And like, where does RD get to be RD? Like not even Ray. Like where does RD get to be RD? And I remember sitting at the stoplight, and there's cars that are like kind of passing me. And I remember thinking, like, if one of these cars would just hit me, then like I could lay in the hospital and rest and no one can bother me. Like I remember thinking like, okay, something's got to change. Like, like we are way past the point of no return right now. And it's not that I'd even gotten to the place where like I wanted to hurt myself, but you get to the place where you're like, no one cares about me.
Yeah.
Beyond what I can do for them. And I'm just so tired. And I think that like maybe I'm giving this on like an exaggerated level further, but I think there's a lot of people in our communities that feel that way.
No. And I'm the same way. It's funny when you said it just all clicked for me, and I know you can't see me, and I just kind of fell off my armrest. That was embarrassing. But the moment you were like, I wish a car would just hit me, I was like internally screaming because I took a solo trip to New Mexico last year. I packed everything up. I put me and my dog in my Trailblazer, and my whole family was like, don't do it. Don't you freaking do it. And I'm like, I'm going to do it because that's me. That's Savannah, which is my real name.
I didn't even know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, my name's Savannah.
Hey, hi, Savannah. I'm RD. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. But that's Savannah. Like she's spontaneous. She loves to travel. She loves to meet new people. And that was such an amazing trip. But honestly, deep down, I was hoping I would go to New Mexico and something would happen, and I would want to see all the people freaking out.
Yeah.
Like who would freak out? Who would make an effort to drive to New Mexico to come get me if something happened to me. And I realized, that's like, I get it. I obviously empathize and homegirl, like, but something's got to change. Like, you're not happy. Like, why are you putting your worth into other people? And that's when I realized I needed to learn about boundaries and lowering this is very hard to explain to some people, but lowering your expectations of your surroundings, but raising and enforcing your boundaries. Everyone's like, well, what's the difference? And it's expectations are something we project onto somebody, whereas boundaries are something we can internally control. So like if there's a landslide, you can't control the landslide. You can't be like, landslide, don't do that. Blah, 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 blah. Like that hurts. but I can control how I react and what I do after the landslide.
Yeah.
I mean, that can be metaphorical all you want, but
it's real.
it is.
Yeah.
And I think like going back to content creation and like you were saying with like the photography, I know just even before content creation, I was that way with people. My worth was what I could give people, what I could deliver to people. It was sanctioned in my childbirth, like with my mother and my father. Like if I wasn't giving something, whether that be emotional gratitude or getting a beer from the fridge, I was not their child. I don't think we realize that it does go that far back. Like even dad being mad at you because you didn't get all A's, is in some aspect saying you're not worthy because you might have not understood a subject and so that you didn't get all A's. Like screw you. Like
Yeah.
You know.
I remember thinking, okay, like you grow up, you do college, you do high school, then you do college, and then you get a job, you know, and then you get married, and you work as hard as you can. You provide for your family, you buy the house, you do all things. And I will never, ever forget. It was about the same time that I told you I was sitting at that red light.
Yeah.
I was just really becoming aware of some of like the fragility. Because I've never felt like I had depression. I never felt like I dealt with mental issues, disorders. But you start to realize like maybe you do a little bit. You know what I mean? Like maybe there's something there that you didn't totally realize was there. And I remember it was like Christmas. And and we were doing it might have been Thanksgiving. We're like doing some Christmas shopping, me and my wife, and I'm driving the car, and my son at the time, he's gotta be like 6 or 7, like 6, maybe 5 or 6, somewhere between 5 and 7. I don't actually remember. And he's 10 now, so that tells you it's like, you know,
okay,
3 or 4 years ago. That's what I'm trying to say. And he was like, "Dad, why are you sad?" And I was like, I don't know, buddy. Like, I'm okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm driving. Like, I'm fine. And he's like, no, like, you're sad. Like, why are you sad? And we got home and went upstairs. And Kim was like, yeah, like, why are you sad? And I remember looking at her and being like I've done everything that I've ever wanted to do. Like, I've got 2 perfectly healthy kids. I've got my high school sweetheart's my wife. Like, we dated in high school. And like, we've got a great house that we own. And I've got over a 6-figure salary, like every single thing. And I just looked at her and I was like, and I am miserable.
Yeah.
Like I am, like none of it matters. Like all the things that I felt like were going to be the things that carried me and gave me fulfillment, they just don't. And so like I say that, and I want to be encouraging in saying this. Like so many of us as creators are like, man, if we can just hit affiliate, and then if we can just hit partner, and if I can just get 20 subs, and if I can get verified, and I can get all these things, and if I can get this brand deal, and if I can get, you know, these people to comment and chat with me, and if I can get all these things, there comes a time though that you're going to find yourself at a red light, and you're like, I'm so tired of trying to hold all these balls in the air. I'm so tired of trying to prove to everybody that I have value. And now I don't even know who loves me or whatever. The thing that was the absolute wake up call for me, about 2-3 weeks after I had that red light experience, and I was still kind of dealing with it, and I didn't know what that looked like. And it was not a pretty time, and I'm trying to figure all the things out. I wake up to go to work one morning, and it's funny. Like I'm going to be very, this is going to get really real. I wake up one morning and my phone has like 50 text messages. And the text messages are like, hey, did you hear what happened to Steve? I'm like, wait, like, what are you talking about? Like every message, 30 people, like, have you heard from Steve? Is Steve okay? Did you hear what happened to Steve? And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. 10 minutes later, I get a phone call. My friend is on the other line, and he's just crying. And he's like, do you know? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, Steve got up and got out of bed last night and drove his car to the park and shot himself in the head with a .45. And he had just given me the headphones that I'm wearing a week before that. That's why I still wear these headphones. These headphones are like 10 years old and falling apart. And I wear them like, because I remember my friend that was very quietly going through exactly the same things that I'm going through.
Yeah.
And he gave up.
Yeah.
You know? And I guess the whole thing is like don't give up. You know, like that's like if I could say anything about all these conversations that we're having, and I know that like some of them are deeper than others, and we've laughed tonight. We've talked about some of the causes. Regardless of the cause and regardless of what someone has made you feel like, and regardless of the moments that you feel like there's no one that loves you, and regardless of the moments that you feel like people are only wanting things from you transactionally, you know, and you know, to you, Colpios, and to everyone that's listening to this thing, like I can tell you in my old gray bearded self that even when you feel like it's not going to get better, it will. It will. And the only way that you can guarantee that it doesn't get better is if you give up.
Yep.
So don't quit.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
And, you know, to be realistic, things might get better and then they might turn south very quickly. And then they might get better and they might turn south quickly. We have to remember humans were never meant to be alone. We were never meant to sit in a corner and take care of ourselves. We were born to be in a pack, per se. We were born for community and inspiration and evolution. And like I would just really express and really hone in on, I know it hurts and I know it's scary to reach out when you want to give up and you just want that one person to see you, but reach out. Like don't make us like, you can make your statuses, you can do your videos and whatnot, but reach out to someone, even if it's just a regular conversation. I can't tell you how many times I've been like on the verge of not necessarily, you know, unaliving myself, but like maybe even hurting myself, and just a normal conversation with somebody has brought me down completely. And it's because it regulates our nervous system, because when we're on that give up edge or we're freaking out, like our nervous system is trying everything in its power to survive. We're in survive and fight mode. We're not in thrive mode. We're in, what do I need to do to make sure I'm okay? But wait, my brain is not knowing what I need to do to make sure I'm okay. And so like to kind of piggyback off of your story, which thank you so much for sharing. I know that
I don't talk about that a
lot. My uncle, who I was deeply close to in New Jersey, he ended up unaliving himself with a shotgun because his wife, who had an accident and drove her car into a silo, completely paralyzed herself. So he was basically her caretaker. He was her caretaker, and like he was the income, he was the cook, he was the barber, et cetera, et cetera. And it got to the point where, as a man, you know, I can imagine he felt like, I can't do this. I can't juggle all of this. And he wasn't allowed to speak up. He wasn't allowed to say,
no, because it's like toughen up.
Exactly. Yeah. You're a man. Do it all. You're the provider. Your wife needs you. And he didn't reach out to anybody. And that's when I was in, I would say, high school freshman year. And my dad was saying, hey, we're flying up to New Jersey for a funeral. And I had already been aware of mental health, but I will never forget hearing one of your family members who you always saw happy and strong and very like still just full of life. And then the next second you're putting them in the ground because they gave up, because they were scared to speak up. It makes you so angry. It makes you so angry. And you want to blame yourself. You want to blame society. But it's so simple to say, don't give up. And then to go and not give up. Yeah. It's easier said than done.
There is hope. In my middle-aged life, I've learned that money comes and money goes.
Yes.
In social media content, the likes come and the likes go, and the followers come and the followers go, and the subscriptions will come and the subscriptions will go, and the brand deals will come, the brand deals will go, and like all the things will come and they will go. But here's what you got to understand. You have value. You have value to the people in your life. You know, I've unfortunately, I had to watch my buddy's teenage son get up and give a eulogy for his dad that he'll never see again. You know, and I don't want to do that to my kids.
Yeah. I
don't want my family to feel those feelings. I don't want that shock to be to them, because I'd be honest with you. In that moment that I was hurting as much as I was hurting, my wife didn't even know.
Yeah.
If you only take one thing away and you've watched this whole podcast and you've heard us share our stories and you've heard us talk about what we're seeing in the community, and this is ringing any level of a bell to you, number one, hear from both of us for whatever that matters, whoever we are, you know, that you are worth way more than you're telling yourself that you're worth. It's so funny. Like, even for myself, one of the biggest compliments that I've gotten through this whole process and becoming partner with Respawn is like, oh man, your quality's so great. Your quality's so great. And I love that, because like, that's what I've worked on really hard, is to have great quality stuff. But I'm never happy with it. Like, I always think it's not good enough. And that, again, it's those triggers. It's that feeling like we have to have value. It's feeling like we have to be better than is realistic for us to be. It's feeling like people only care about us if we are doing the things that they expect and more than the things that we expect, and we're topping ourselves, because, you know, what makes you Batman today makes you nobody tomorrow. You know what I mean? And all these things that we do for ourselves. Hear us tell you, you are worth it. You are not what you've convinced yourself that you are. And you just got to talk about it. You got to talk about it and take that step and stop yourself from going down the path. Because for me, if I would have been open with people, the healing that I found was after that funeral and starting to have conversations with my wife. And it was awkward, man. I just tell you, it was weird, because like, for her, she had no idea that I was feeling that way. And so we had to like get through that step of it. You know what I mean? Like, and talk through things. But then having friends that are close enough in your life that you can trust to have these conversations. And then if that's not working, taking the step to check yourself in, taking your step to find these resources, because we will miss you. Like the world needs you. Our communities need you. And it's just, to me, it's so heavy, like on my heart right now. 'Cause I feel like my timeline, like my feeds are overwhelmed with people that are dealing with this hurt and don't really know how to do it. And so, talk about it. You know, we're here. I'll talk to you. You know, just get in my DMs, and we'll set up a Discord call, and we'll talk through all of it, and we'll see what help we can get you. But I just want people to know, if you've listened to this whole thing, I want you to know that you have value. I want you to know that we'll miss you. And I want you to know that it can get better, and it can get worse, and it can get better again. But the only way that you're going to walk through this is if you talk about it, and you're open with and honest with yourself, and you're honest with the people that care about you.
Exactly. Yeah. You matter, like Ray said, and you deserve to take up space. You deserve to be loud. You deserve to be seen and heard. And even if you're just journaling and talking to yourself about what's going on, that's a step. That is a step in the right direction. And hopefully you find the courage and the confidence to take further steps in your journey of healing. But circling back to the most important thing, like, you're on this earth for a reason, whether or not you want to believe that or not. I don't think any of us are here by mistake. And whether you feel like a small drop in a large ocean, an ocean can't be an ocean without all those little drops.
Copious, thank you so much for being here with us.
Yes,
I think it's such an important topic. And I think it's one of those things that legitimately, like, I think it gets worse because the stigma is to not talk about it. Yep. You know, and these are conversations that need to be had. And, you know, I think that people need to know about the ones that we've lost. And I think that people need to know what that did. And so I appreciate your time. I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate your openness to kind of talk through some of these things. I know it's not fun to revisit some of this kind of stuff, you know, but I think that if we can get a couple people, you know, that feel like they needed to hear this, I think that we can change some lives with this. And so I appreciate what you did, and I appreciate what you do. Your stream, legitimately, the content you put out, one of the things I'm the most proud of knowing you for is just how positive you are, you know,
Thank you.
And like, how accepting and like it's like loving even, you know what I mean? Like, there's a part of it that's like loving to your community. And it sounds like totally weird to say it's like we're shooting people with rifles in video games, but the reality of it is it's like, you know, there is this very welcoming thing in your vibe. And I think it's incredible. And I think that you are about to blow up in ways that you don't even understand. And so I'm so proud to see kind of like what's happening with that. And I'm proud to call you a friend, and I'm proud to be a peer of yours. And we're excited to see what the future holds for Miss Kolpios.
Thanks for having me, Ray. You're freaking awesome.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Thank you, though. I mean,
no, you're awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Guys, look, we're so excited that you're here with us on episode 2 of the This is the Ray podcast. Look, this is what we're looking to do, man. We want to have open conversations. We want to talk about things that are important in our communities. There is so much awesome stuff that's coming up with This is the Ray right now. There's awesome stuff that's coming up with all the Respawn partners, even our good friend Kolpios. Look, all of the chair codes went live this week, Kolpios. They're all live now. So if your booty is searching for a better seat, then go ahead, use code. Is your code Kolpios? I don't remember.
Skulk.
It's Skulk. I don't even know what that means.
SKULK. It's a group of foxes.
Oh, there you go. Because Kolpios is a fox. I learned that when I was trying to figure out what your name was. Yeah, so code Skulk. Get yourself a nice little discount on your Respawn chair. We love them enough to be partnered with them and to help celebrate them while they're celebrating us. Again, Kolpios, thanks so much. You guys have been here for the episode 2. This has been episode 2 of the This is the Ray podcast. Until next time, we will see you later.